Hi, Casey here. In the early 2000s, a behavioral economist by the name Dan Ariely conducted a study. They gave research subjects a series of problems where they had to find two numbers that added up to 10. Given enough time, and virtually everybody would be able to complete the entire test. But instead, they were only given 5 minutes to do a whole bunch of them, and for every problem they answered correctly, they would receive $1. At the end of the test, you just counted up the number of problems you got correct. You would take your test, put it into a shredder, tell the tester how many problems you got correct, and then receive your cash. The thing is, the papers weren't actually shredded, so that way the researchers could see who lied. Around 70% of the people who took the test lied on the test. The average number of problems people got correct was 4. The average number of problems people said they got correct was 6. Interestingly, people didn't lie as much as they could have. They lied just enough to get a little extra cash, but not enough to raise suspicion. Now, before you make the assumption that it's easy to discern between those who lie and those who don't, or that lying is wrong and unacceptable, that's just not the case. Because believe it or not, everybody lies. Okay, take an honest look at yourself. Have you ever said any of these before?
I know. Yeah, we'll definitely catch up real soon.
Yeah, no, I'm doing the dishes right now. I should probably just get off the phone with you so I can finish them up.
Have you ever gone over the speed limit? Or what about the last time somebody asked how you're doing?
Great. Doing really good.
If we're supposed to be the most complex organisms in existence, why is it that we're so incapable of telling the truth all the time? After all, being lied to feels terrible. Fortunately for you, I have read every research paper and book about lying and am now an expert who will teach you everything. Okay, that's a lie. But what I can do is at least help you understand why we all lie. So why do we lie? Well, defining a lie is probably a pretty good place to start. A lie is when someone is acting to create a false belief in their victim. And believe it or not, we can be a victim of our own lies. What? That's right, you heard correctly. We lie to ourselves all the time. Which is crazy to think, because that means that one part of our brain is intentionally keeping information from another part of our brain. Yeah. There are self-centered lies which are told to protect the liar. They're protecting themselves from conflict, embarrassment, disapproval, or for their own personal gain. Other-oriented lies are pretty much the opposite. They're still told for psychological protection, but in this sense, they're being told to protect the target of the lie. We're trying to protect them from embarrassment, conflict, or getting their feelings hurt. People are unsurprisingly more apt to tell self-centered lies than anything else. People are also more willing to tell self-centered lies to complete strangers, and are more willing to tell the protective, other-oriented lies to close friends and family. From the liar's perspective, both lies are being told to be altruistic. It's like we're being nice by lying. Most common lies aren't told to manipulate or exploit people. Most lies are told to boost self-esteem, or to protect people's feelings, or just to get others to like us. People, however, are capable of telling much more serious lies that have the capability of really damaging relationships, or to cover up really important aspects about who they are as a person. Although people are more willing to tell the protective, other-oriented lie to the people that they're closest to, they're also willing to tell more serious and hurtful lies to the people that they're closest to, which really sucks and is messed up. The little lies we tell strangers and acquaintances to protect ourselves from embarrassment, we typically tell those as truths, as vulnerabilities to the people that we're closest to, which actually ends up strengthening the relationship. So psychologically, it's to our advantage not to lie to the people that we value the most. But because we value those relationships, because the people that we are closest to mean so much to us, we're much more likely to tell a serious, risky, and hurtful lie because we feel we have so much more to lose. There are all different kinds of lies. We can say things that aren't true, or we can lie by simply avoiding the truth. Sometimes we can stretch the facts in order to lie. We can even have a total disbelief for truth itself. Sometimes lies can fall within actions that we take or within actions that we don't take. And we all do this. Everyone lies. But why? I think we could probably blame it on evolution. Nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. So essentially, we evolved to lie. And if that's the case, it means that lying is actually useful. And if it's not crazy enough to think that nature kept it around, it made us really good at it too. But we humans aren't the only ones who evolved to lie. Deception is found all over in nature. There are flowers that have evolved to be deceptive, to look like female bees in order to trick male bees into pollinating them. Some animals change their appearance to protect themselves from predators. Viruses lie to our immune system It's molecular deception. Parasites control the mind of their host so the parasites can stay alive and reproduce. These are just a few examples, but no other species is as good at deception and manipulation as we are. Why is that? Because we can verbalize our lies. Speech brought our lies to a totally different level. It gave us the power to twist, manipulate, deceive, and completely omit truth altogether. Unlike the rest of nature, our lies and deception are directed at our own species, at each other. But when did we first learn to lie? When did we develop such a skill? Well, that's not entirely known, but researchers surmise that it was likely after we first began to develop spoken language. But how do we rationalize all of this lying? Well, think about it for just a second. What do we want in our day-to-day lives when interacting with other people? Maybe it's just to be pleasant or have our opinions heard, to give an impression of ourselves or make others just feel good. Maybe to strengthen our friendships or relationships or possibly to influence people. Maybe it's just to increase our power and our status. We are all motivated by these things and we have the choice to either act on them truthfully or deceptively. Most of the lies we tell are just little white lies that have to do with our opinions or our feelings.
No, absolutely. Your butt looks great in those new jeans you just bought. Great. Lovely.
Our plans or whereabouts.
Oh, no thanks. I've already bought dozens of Girl Scout cookies already this year. Like boxes, just tons of boxes of Girl Scout cookies.
Our knowledge or achievements.
I am a political correspondent on Facebook.
Explaining our actions or behaviors.
Oh, sorry I'm late, everybody. Car trouble. Flat tire was going through construction. You know how it is. Texas, right?
Or personal facts or possessions.
Yeah, this is absolutely the new Samsung phone. But you can't see it because it's mine and it's brand new.
So again, how do we rationalize telling all these lies that are seemingly so common? When we lie, we justify it consciously or unconsciously to protect other people or sometimes ourselves. The target of the lie and ourselves would feel worse if they found out the truth about the lie. And lying in this way is a form of pro-social behavior. But does that make it right? It's easy for us to take the moral high ground and just say that lying is wrong. We care about honesty and loyalty, but we also care about love and happiness and not doing the things that are painful and uncomfortable. Sometimes it's worth taking into account all of these goals at once. And complete honesty isn't always going to win over those other concerns.
Oh, yeah, no, that looks absolutely great. I'm going to hang that up in my office because I can totally tell what that is.
Maybe just acknowledging these things can be the moral high ground sometimes. It would be amazing if love and honesty were always in harmony, but they aren't, because relationships of all kinds are really complicated. Let's move past for a moment trying to determine when it is or is not acceptable to lie and instead focus on how terrible we are at detecting lies. Even the professionals who are supposed to be really good at detecting lies are terrible. But why is that? Well, we have a bias which defaults to truth. We want to believe that the people and the world around us is true. But why? Well, if we went back approximately 150,000 years ago and we think our brains took their current form, the world was a really different place. We didn't need to use our brains back then like we do today. No. Back then, we used our brains to protect ourselves from the very threatening world around us. And whether we like it or not, our Stone Age mind is the one that survived and brought us into the world that we live in today. So maybe evolution taught us how to lie in order to build relationships and community, and kept us from becoming really good lie detectors in order to keep us safe. But what is keeping us from just completely going off the rails and never telling the truth again? Well, to nobody's surprise, we don't like being lied to. And if you lie and deceive too often or too obviously, people just aren't going to want you around, which is the last thing that any of us actually wants. You see, society has its own checks and balance system to prevent things from getting too out of hand. Become a person who operates constantly without honesty and integrity, and you're going to be left behind. You will not pass on your genes since society's not going to want anything to do with you. In theory, because people lie to us all the time about who they are as a person. And just look around. There's procreation everywhere. Back to the moral conundrum. To lie or not to lie? I think we can all agree that there are some occasions where lying might be acceptable. We'll likely still lie on occasion to acquaintances and strangers. However, when it comes to the people that we're closest to, I don't think we should ever lie. And I don't say this from some moral or virtuous high ground. No matter how good my intentions were, I've learned throughout the years over and over again that it never pans out to tell those protective, other-oriented lies to the people that I'm closest to. But why do I feel this way? Why not just placate the situation and spare someone's feelings? Well, what if one day the person finds out that I'm lying, and those thoughts cascade into similar situations and they begin to question my sincerity and truthfulness altogether? For me, I will take the most bitter truth over the sweetest lie 10 out of 10 times. I want to know that when life inevitably knocks me down, or the people that I care about, that those people are going to know without a shadow of a doubt that we're going to be there for each other no matter what. The last thing I would ever want is for the people that I care about to question whether or not I'm going to be there for them when their world starts to crumble. This means that people might not always like what I have to say or my opinions, but at least they'll know that I'm trustworthy and can be relied upon when they need me the most. All right, that's it. If you got any value out of this video, if you found it informative, or if it helped you in any way, I ask that you please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this video, and doing the bell notification thing. Thanks for watching.